So let us begin with our discussion on risk and uncertainty. So now we have done illustrations on capital budgeting, NPV, profitability index, payback period, method, etc. But in that, you would have observed that one thing we, we are assuming, which is implicit, is that cash flows are certain. Okay. So in all the questions which we have done till now, in that we have seen that year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 number of years, we have predicted or estimated the cash flows. And we are assuming that that cash flow will be certain. But in practical, we cannot say that estimated cash flow and actual cash flow will be same. Okay, understood? Because in whatever illustrations we have done till now, in that we are taking only one cash flow and we are assuming that it will be achieved by the company. Okay, but now tell, how can we predict what will be the exact cash flow for the fifth year? Not possible, no. Leave fifth year, we cannot tell what will be the cash flow for the next 1 year also. Exactly, we cannot predict because it will be depending upon number of factors. Okay, so the assumptions which we are making is that our cash flow will be certain. Okay, without having any risk in the cash flow. But in practical situation, it is not possible. So we have to discuss the risk involved in capital budgeting, or risk analysis also we will have to understand in capital budgeting. So till now, whatever sums we have discussed in capital budgeting techniques, we have assumed that investment proposals do not involve any risk and cash flows of the project are known with certainty, which is not possible. Okay, because how can we tell that in first year 50,000 we will receive, in second year we will receive 30,000, in third year we will receive 40,000, in fourth year we will get 50,000? How can we tell with certainty that this will be our cash flow inflow, we will get this much? Okay, because what will be the economic situation, political situation, social conditions in fourth year, we cannot tell now. Okay, so how we will say that we will receive 50,000 with certainty at the end of the fourth year? Okay, so this assumption is taken for making it simplified. Okay, for understanding the capital budgeting techniques, we have taken that assumption. Okay, how to apply that technique for understanding in a simple manner, for a simplicity purpose, we have taken that assumption. However, in practice, this assumption is not correct. Okay, and anybody can say this assumption is not correct because investment projects are exposed to various degrees of risk. Okay, so now three situations can arise. One is the decision making under certainty, where we will assume that this will be the cash flow and we will receive this. Practically not possible. Second situation can be decision making under risk. Okay, you will estimate the cash flow, but you will simultaneously assign a risk also to that cash flow. This is probability technique. Okay, you will say that first year I will get 50,000 cash flow, but chance is 50%. So now you are making it more practical. So this is known as decision involving risk, where you will assign probabilities for the cash flow. And here in this case, you will not estimate one set of cash flow. You will estimate number of cash flows with different probabilities. That first year I may get 50,000 as cash inflow, and chance is 50%. Okay. Then cash flow can be 70,000. 30% chances are there. Okay. Then 80,000 can be the cash flow. 20% chance is there. So you will, for 1 year only, you're drawing 3 set of cash flows on different probabilities, which is quite logical also. Okay. Because if economic condition is very good, everything is okay, you can get 80,000 cash inflow. But what is the chance for that? 20% chance. So effective cash flow will be 16,000. 80,000 into 20%. That we will see later on how we will take into the calculation. Okay. So understood what is the risk? Here you will estimate number of cash flows and you will assign different chances for that cash flow to arise. And third situation is an extreme. It is under uncertainty, that you will estimate the cash flow, but you can assign probability also. Okay. You will estimate the cash flow that I will get 50,000, but you are not sure what is the percentage chance that you will get 50,000. Okay. So risk and uncertainty are used interchangeably only, but risk, you can assign probabilities to the cash flows, but in uncertainty situation, you cannot even assign the probability also. Okay. So more practical situation is risk, involving risk. You will estimate the cash flow and you will assign the probability values to the cash flow. So this is the risk analysis in capital budgeting. Okay. Now what is risk? Let us understand what is a risk. Risk is the variation. Risk is the variation which may arise between the estimated and the actual. Okay, there will always be an uncertain position between the actual you are expecting and the estimated values and the actual which you are receiving. Suppose you made an investment in a particular securities that you estimated that you will get 15% return from that investment. Okay, you are estimated that you will get 15% return from the investment, but actually you got 10%. So there is always a chance of variability, no? So this variation which may arise between the expected value and the actual value, it is the risk. And risk will always be unfavorable position. So here you are expecting 15% and you are actually getting 10%. This is an unfavorable situation. So this is risk. Okay. Variation should be there and it should be unfavorable to the investor. So we will call it as risk, which is the variation or uncertainty which may arise between the expected and the actual. Okay. Now, how we can measure risk? Risk can be measured using standard deviation and coefficient of variation. Okay. So you can use a standard deviation method and measure the risk. So what is a risk? A risk is the variability which may arise between the expected value and the actual value. That open position which will remain, which will be unfavorable adverse situation, that is a risk. Now, every businessman, every business houses know that there will be risk. There are different types of risk. Okay. Now, as a businessman, every company, organization will take steps to reduce risk. Okay, every organization will take steps to reduce risk. So, for reducing risk, first we will have to measure the risk. How we will measure the risk? We will measure the risk using various techniques, standard deviation, beta, etc. These are the methods used for measuring the risk. After measuring risk, we can take steps for reducing the risk, which is known as hedging. Okay, there are various techniques for reducing the risks also, like entering into a derivative contracts, etc., which are risk management techniques. Okay, here we will be focusing on risk measurement, that is standard deviation, beta. Okay, so every businessman knows that there are different types of risk. So how he can measure the risk? He can measure the risk using various techniques, which we'll be discussing later on. First, we will understand what are the types of risks. Before moving on to the different types of risk, we will have to understand two important types of risk, which is systematic risk and unsystematic risk. So two types of risk. First is the systematic risk. And another is the unsystematic risk. What is a systematic risk? Systematic risks are those risks which will affect all the business in the economy. Systematic risks are those risks which will affect all the persons. All persons affected by that risk. All persons will be affected because of systematic risk. It will affect all the business in the country. It is known as systematic risk. What can be the example of systematic risk? Inflation. Very good example. Inflation. Inflation will affect all the business. No, we cannot say that XYZ company is affected because of inflation, or PQR Limited is not affected because of inflation. It is not possible, because inflation will affect all the persons in the country. Okay, so such a type of risk which will affect all the person, all the business in the country, in the economy, are known as systematic risk. Okay. Systematic risk cannot be avoided. You cannot avoid systematic risk because it is not in your control. Okay. You cannot avoid systematic risk. Very important, because systematic risk will affect all the business in the economy. Such type of risk are known as systematic risk. And you cannot avoid systematic risk because It is not in your control. Inflation, it is in your control? No. So you will have to face the systematic risk. You can only reduce the systematic risk. So understand this, very important. Systematic risk cannot be avoided. You can only reduce the systematic risk. Okay. So this is first thing. And how systematic risk is measured? Systematic risk is measured using beta. So if you want to measure systematic risk, you will have to calculate the beta for that project. Okay. So what is a systematic risk? It affects all the persons in the economy. It cannot be avoided. You can reduce the systematic risk and you can measure the systematic risk using beta. What is an unsystematic risk? It is a company specific risk related to a particular business. So unsystematic risk will not affect all the persons equally. It is related to the company to company. For example, power failure. If a power failure occurs in a particular company, it will affect only that company. Other companies are not affected because of power failure in a XYZ company. Okay, it affects only the XYZ company. So we can say that you can completely avoid unsystematic risk. Okay, you can completely avoid unsystematic risks. How? Power failure, power failure will affect you. How you can avoid? You can arrange for some alternative power, generators, etc. So you are avoiding unsystematic risk. Okay, you are avoiding unsystematic risk, but systematic risk you cannot avoid. Okay, because inflation is an example of a systematic risk. How you can avoid inflation? It is not in your control. Okay, political situation in the country, it is an example of a systematic risk because it is not in your control. No, so you can only take steps to reduce the impact of systematic risk, but you cannot completely avoid the systematic risk. Okay, but unsystematic risk, it is specific to your company and you can completely avoid the unsystematic risk. Okay, power failure, how you can avoid? Arranging the alternative power requirements. Correct. Okay, if computer gets corrupted, you can keep the backup. So these are all unsystematic risk. Okay, strike in your company, that you can avoid by making negotiation with the trade union, etc. So you have to see what is the unsystematic risk. You should take steps to avoid that. Okay, unsystematic risk, which will be outside, external factors to your company. You cannot avoid that risk, but you should take steps to reduce that risk. Understood? So difference between a systematic risk and unsystematic risk. Clear? Understood this much, everybody? Systematic risk is measured using beta. Now, how unsystematic risk will be measured? For that, we will have to understand what is the total risk. So, total risk for a business will be total of systematic risk plus unsystematic risk. So, this will be the total risk for a company. Systematic risk plus unsystematic risk. Okay, total risk plus unsystematic risk. So systematic risk we will calculate using beta, and total risk is calculated using standard deviation. Okay. So what will be the unsystematic risk? You can say on a raw basis that it will be the difference between the standard deviation and beta. That will be the unsystematic risk, which is the industry particular. So unsystematic risk, because it is a particular to the particular company specific, you can completely avoid the unsystematic risk. Systematic risk affect all the persons. You can only reduce the unsystematic risk. You cannot avoid the unsystematic risk. So write and keep, total risk of a business is measured using standard deviation. So when we will calculate the standard deviation, we will get the total risk of a business. So standard deviation will give the total risk of a business. Beta will give the systematic risk of a business. Okay. So when we will calculate the beta, which is not there in your syllabus, so beta we will calculate for finding out the systematic risk, and total risk will be given by the standard deviation. Okay. So this much everybody clear?